Hey everyone! Today we are playing a Legacy Constructed League with the Epic Storm Deck version 4.1. If you're curious about what changed between 3.9 and 4.1, feel free to check out my last video, but we'll cover it briefly right now. So one of the few changes is you'll notice a lack of Telement performance. That became the third copy of Empty the Warrens, and the third Abrupt Decay became the first copy of Echoing Truth. This is because of the rise of the Blood Moon decks recently, and the fourth Empty the Warrens is because of Grixis Delver being ever so popular. But we're going to jump immediately into a match instead of describing this. Like I said, if you want more information, you can find it through the YouTube channel or the website. And while we're in queue, we'll head back. So, like I touched upon, Echoing Truth is really for, over the last month or so, Dragon Stompy has made a very large comeback. So, Abrupt Decay is kind of tough to cast underneath Blood Moon, which makes Chalice of the Void and Transfer a lot more effective. Echoing Truth is kind of a middle card in between Chain of Vapor and Abrupt Decay. It's been performing off the charts. I'm really happy with Echoing Truth. And if you've been sleeping underneath a rock for the last month or so, the fourth Empty the Warrens is just stellar against Grixis Delver. You board up 2 Empty the Warrens, going up to 3 in your main deck post board, and you board out a Burning Wish and an Infernal Tutor, and it just allows you to be able to win through counter magic and soft counters a lot more easily. It looks like we have our first opponent. It's running a little slow. Nomura. And we won the die roll, which is great. According to my spreadsheet, I've never faced this person before. But we will be on the play. The sand is a little slow, but we have the power of Brainstorm and Fetch lands, and we have a Dark Ritual and a Burning Wish. The Chrome Mox here is kind of a mulligan, but I would keep this hand as the 6 without Chrome Mox, so we're going to try this. I think we'd actually search up the basic island first here, so I'm going to play out the Scalding Tarn, so that way if we are forced to, we can still get the basic swamp with Polluted Delta. Thoughtseize. I'm going to use the Brainstorm. Protect against Wasteland a little bit here. Force of Will. They are on Blue-Black Reanimator, which is traditionally a very bad matchup. So I'm not expecting to win this one. Chrome Mox, really? It's a bold take. I think we want Past in Flames here. It will allow us to win through more disruption. And next turn we can Infernal Tutor for another Dark Ritual. I'm not a big fan of this matchup. It's probably sub 20%. I'm actually going to... I want to make our opponent think that we have more options. So I'm going to leave the red available. I think we name Entomb here, because they likely have more ways to get stuff into the graveyard. No. Okay. Alright, let's fade a draw step. And it looks like we did not. Maybe we did. So they likely have Reanimate and One Unknown. We're gonna go all in. Sweet. So we stole game one. Go past in flames. Okay, so we're actually going to board out the island here. We're going to bring in Bayou. It helps to cast discard spells, but more importantly, it helps cast Xanad Swarm. And the empty's pretty terrible, so we're going to board that out. Board in Tendrils. And matchups like this, we don't really want Ponders. Board in 2 Chain. The problem with Ponder is it's a setup card, and you either really want to be disrupting or advancing your game plan dramatically, and Ponder is just like kind of a filler card, and I'd rather have something like Chain of Vapor to make sure we don't get locked out by like Chancellor, the Annex, or Iona. Oh, I accidentally boarded in an Abrupt Decay. Okay, so now our deck list is set. The classic open up Tendrils in your opener. This hand like really only wins is if our opponent reanimates or like activates Grizzlebrand a bunch. We have Brainstorm. I don't know. We're up a game and this is a miserable matchup, so I'm just gonna keep it. Sure, you can have your ley line. I think that's a win for us. I think with having 2 copies of Brainstorm, I'm actually okay with firing one off on their end step. pretty good brainstorm. Actually, I'm going to put that back. Just in case they happen to cast Surgical Extraction. I guess they can't because of the ley line. I just wasn't thinking. But it doesn't matter. So the question is, do we want to draw the brainstorm? I think we probably do. They can't have all that. And we'll discard the force now. It's a good draw. Flusterstorm. I don't understand what they kept then. Okay. I just don't understand why they would discard Flusterstorm there. Like, do they plan on hard casting Grave Titans? Okay, so we can Tendrils here for 12, which isn't good enough. So I think we actually just pass. And then next turn we can draw the Tendrils. We need one more initial mana source, and we can get close. The problem right now is you can Rite of Flame and then Infernal Tutor for another Rite of Flame, but then you can't cast the Cabal Therapy, so you're just short a mana. Like a Lotus Petal here would be great. Okay, so we don't have Tendrils anymore. Guess Grape Shot is now our primary win condition. Alright, so we're going to name Flusterstorm with this. Because as of right now, it's the only card that can stop us, that I believe. Or Grave Titan. Alright. Ooh, we're actually short of mana because of the Leyline of the Void. So, this is only 3 mana. Dark Ritual is only 3 mana. So we can only make 4 mana post Infernal Tutor, so we can't actually add Nauseam yet. Excuse me. Okay. You have a show and tell. Don't really want that right now. I guess we can empty for a bunch. The Burning Wish is just super awkward. We really needed to draw an initial mana source one of the last 2 turns. Normally here I'd want to get another Rite of Flame, but because of the Leyline we can't. So we've made 8 Storm. If we didn't board in Tendrils, this would actually be a kill. But it's not, so we're forced into getting empty. So if our opponent swings out, we're probably just going to take 10. Or maybe we chump. At least the Grave Titan. Helm of Obedience. Okay. So we're about to be decked, so we're just going to concede. We're going to keep Tendrils in the main. This is a fine hand. It's a little weak, but maybe we'll get there. So the problem is we don't have any disruption, and Blue-Black Randomator is just as fast as we are, except they have Thoughtseize and Forceful and Daze, which is part of the reason this is such a miserable matchup. So in order for us to win this game, we really are relying on Probe and Brainstorm to hit like Infernal Tutor discard spell. Okay, another ley line. Wow, they really, really value ley line. It's just not a good hand. What's funny about this is that Lion's Eye Diamond is one of the weaker cards here, but it helps generate Storm. We'll put Tendrils on top. I think we actually have a kill next turn, as long as the Dark Ritual resolves. I probably should have waited to play the Lotus Petal. That was a mistake. Okay. Sure. What are the odds to name Lion's Eye Diamond here? Pretty high. I think our opponent hasn't been incredibly suave so far, so there's a good chance they don't realize that it says mana ability. Okay, they named Pluto Delta, that's fine. Let's see if we can find another Dark Ritual. debating right now if I would like to empty the Warrens. I think the answer is yes. So the reason the answer is yes is even if our opponent draws the land, it's not going to do them anything. Like, they can cast Collective Brutality, they can kill a token, they can drain us for 2, and they can discard the Iona. But, like, that doesn't really improve their game state, and even if they draw a Reanimate or a Animate Dead or something along those lines, Iona in red doesn't do anything for them. Cool. Be an unprobable matchup. Alright, I don't think our opponent played incredibly well, and that's not to be mean, but we usually don't win that. And we have our second opponent. Another opponent that I've never faced before, and we did not win this die roll. I think this hand is ultimately fine. You have 2 initial mana sources, you have a Probed, so you know what to do with the game plan, you have a Brainstorm. Like, it's a fairly well-rounded hand. Another basic swamp. I think I'd rather it be Pox than something like Red-Black Reanimator. What's taking so long? If you have a Lotus Petal, display it. Ah, it's Turbo Depths. Okay. Sure. Sucker. God, they wasted an Elvish Spirit Guide on that. That was unfortunate. Okay, that worked out fairly well because now we can fetch away these 2 polluted deltas. And we drew another, but it's kind of... I mean, there's 4 in the deck, so there's 2 left. There's very little reason to hold the probe. And might as well pay life. They're either dealing us 20 or they're not at all, so... Hex Mage. This is a good draw. It allows us to get Dark Petition this turn. We are very close to an ad nauseum. So next turn we can play our Swamp and Dark Ritual and then Dark Petition, but it actually only leaves us with 4 mana. So we really want to draw something like a Rite of Flame, a Lotus Petal, a Lion's Eye Diamond, just something that produces a mana. The rest was not what we needed. So we know that they have Vampire Hexmage in hand, but we might as well cast Duress. Like, it doesn't harm us at all. Alright, we're gonna go for broke and just hope that we draw a mana source next turn rather than Dark Ritual for Cabal Therapy, because I don't think that actually like does anything. Like, our opponent has way more live draws than we do at that point, so it's just best if we play the odds of drawing what we need. There's a lot of mana in the deck, so if we don't draw one, it happens, but this gives us much better odds of winning the game. And we did not. Yeah, we're a mana short. Alright. So I actually like bringing in the 3 bounce spells, which shouldn't come as a shock, and I hate Cabal Therapy in this matchup, so that's how we're going to board for game 2, and if we see Sphere Resistance, we will board in Abrupt Decays. Okay, so this hand is just very clunky and doesn't really do anything, so it's a mulligan. Much better. And once again, I forgot to update our record. I'm really bad at that. Yeah, I'd take a Burning Wish. I'm not super thrilled with it, though. And they do have Thorn. As well as a turn 1 discard spell. It's a pretty solid hand, so we are going to try to Brainstorm into the win. That was not the win. It was actually a pretty bad Brainstorm. Opponent's playing very slowly. Hopefully they don't see the line here of sacrificing their land to bounce the lines at Emond. But they only had 2 lands, so they might not want to. Does Rite of Flame even do anything here? Not really. So you can empty for 6. Her opponent has a crop rotation, so they could get Urborg and then cast their Hex Mage. But honestly, I think like if we don't, like our other line here would be Past in Flames, but it's very, very reliant on Gitaxian Probe into Brainstorm into something very good. We'll have a single open mana. So, like, if you don't hit lines on Diamond, you're probably not even close to winning. But I don't know if 6 Goblins beats what's in their hand currently. So if they drew another land, you just, like, flat out lose. So we know that they've used Catacombs, Petal, Stage, and Thoughtseize. So you know 3 cards are in their hand. 2 are unknown. If one of them's a land, then they just have Hexmage into Crop Rotation, which is fast enough to win. I think we're just gonna go for the Past in Flames kill. Okay then. So they just had everything. And next turn they can replay Sphere. I'm gonna concede. Alright, so we lost that match. We are now 1-1. And we did not win the die roll. This hand is pretty diverse, and it could be fairly explosive depending on our draws between our draw steps and Gitaxian Probe and Brainstorm, but it can also fight well against blue decks in combo. Like, I don't think I'd ship this against most decks, so we're definitely going to keep. Glad it took them 2 minutes to figure out how to cast Metal Sentinel. Okay, so we're actually just going to pass. On their end step, we're going to fetch for Volcanic Island to cast Rite of Flame. That'll allow us next turn to have a guaranteed ad nauseam. So the first thing you do is cast Rite of Flame. And then your Lion's Eye Diamond. It's just... It's best to do things in the proper order. So that way it just becomes habit for the future. So we're going to hold priority and then we're going to add 3 black. Put these 2 back. And cast Ad Nauseam. And that'll do. So against elves you really don't sideboard. You just swap Empty the Warrens for Tendrils. You could also use Grape Shot there if you decide. I like bringing in Tendrils because I feel like if your Burning Wishes do get hit by Surgical Extraction, you don't need to go the extra mile in order to win the game. I don't think the upside of an accidental Pyroclasm is better. And I don't board in anything like Chain of Vapor or Echoing Truth just because most lists don't play cards like Gaddock Teeg anymore, so if you see them, feel free to board it in, but I think you're better off just having Duress and Cabal Therapy to hit Green Sun Zenith and Glimpse of Natures. This is an interesting hand. It's a little bold, but I think it's worth trying. Come on, initial mana source. Heyo. So does that even win? So if you play Gitaxian Probe, you can play Lotus Petal. It's from 2, Rituals from 3, from 4 is Lion's Eye Diamond, it's from 5 Dress, from 6 Bryant. 14 Goblins is good enough. Elves versus Goblins. Classic. Search up Dryad Arbor. Yep. Pretty quick 2-1. Let's see if we can close this out with a strong finish and be 4-1. I have faced this opponent before. I don't remember what they play. I want to say it was something like Red-Black Reanimator. Is it offensive to say that you think that your opponents play that crappy deck? It was Grixis Delver. I was pretty far off. This hand like isn't that good, but it does have the main deck empty, which is nice to draw 2 disruption spells. What you really need is rituals. I'm gonna try it. I think that this hand is close enough. That was a good draw. Daze. No reveal. Another pretty good draw. I think we need Forcible here. Boom. I like all of this. So we could have drawn the other Infernal Tutor, and then from there we could have cast Brainstorm to draw the other Infernal Tutor. The problem with that line is it makes us very weak to Daze, and I didn't want to do that. Oh, that's right. So we're going to draw the Brainstorm. Forked Bolt. Okay. Draw the Lotus Petal. There's no harm in this. We can't die on our following turn. So this just allows us to one-shot our opponent. And we have a Cabal Therapy in the graveyard, but there's actually just like no point in casting it. And the reason there's no point in casting the Cabal Therapy is if we name Fork Bolt, it allows our opponent to cast Sure Name. -1 Wish, -1 Tutor, and then we're going to board in the 2 empties with the other art. So that way you know which empties they are when you draw them. Actually, I don't mind hands like this. Basics are super good, and if you can find an empty, this hand is not bad. Mango. Not a bad draw. So I'm going to cast this Ponder straight into Red Elemental Blast or Daze. It's not crucial to our game plan. That's a very quick resolve. Okay. I'm going to cast Dark Ritual and then Cabal Therapy for force, I think. Then that line loses to Daze as well. Alright, let's see what he has. I'm willing to bet that he has Forcible if he was willing to tap out for Young Pyromancer. And that it's not just a Daze. Boom. Called it. You need some initial mana sources. Here's one. Now just some fast mana. There's still 2 more Empty Thorns in the deck. Alright, we need 1 more mana. Okay. Alright, so it's not looking good. We can go all in on a Ponder. And we still have 1, 2, 3 tutors left in the deck and 1 empty. Or we can try to reveal a Chrome Mox or another Lotus Petal. I think we kind of just have to hope to hit. Turn 2, we've played a land. Yeah. Blue, red, black. How lucky. It's got to be slightly infuriating for our opponent. Okay, we got a little bit lucky there. I mean, our ad nauseum was kind of not very lucky, but the Ponder was. Updating our record. Boom. We're just waiting on our last opponent. Fudge Sickles. I've definitely faced this person before. And we have lost the 4th straight die roll in a row. They were on Ant before. It's not really a good hand in the Storm Mirror, but we don't know if he's actually on Ant. I think this is worth a try. Wasteland doesn't seem very anti. 4-color loam. Lands? Lands. Not a bad deck to ask for your 5th matchup. Unfortunately, we don't have Telemed Performance anymore. So what we actually want to find at this point is an Infernal Tutor. Not any of those. Alright, let's dig for an Infernal Tutor. I think I want to use a Brainstorm here, not a Ponder. Okay. So we should have enough now. Can probably just natural kill without Tendrils of Agony. I mean, without an Ad Nauseam from here. Yeah, we definitely can. Even if we couldn't get to Storm 10, we have enough for Dark Petition into an Ad Nauseam. I like games like this because it really shows you like whether or not you needed the Telemed Performance or not. Sweet. Okay, so Empty comes out, and so do Ponders. And comes Decay. Echoing Truth. Chains. And Bayou. You actually have to take out one card, and I usually feel like that one card should be Cabal Therapy. Just because it's not a guaranteed hit. You could argue that like Burning Wish isn't very good, and I'd agree with that, but I think that Burning Wish is still more valuable than a Cabal Therapy on the draw. Or even on the play, I think I'd rather have Burning Wish. It's a pretty good hand. As long as we can not be hit by a turn 1 sphere, we'll be okay. Chalice of the Void. Okay. Well, Probe costs 0, but is not affected. Their hand isn't all that great. We're just going to protect our lands and not bother casting Duress, because if we cast Duress, they'll crop rotation in response, and then we hit Loam, which doesn't really help us. So what we want to draw is something like a Dark Ritual or another Lion's Eye Diamond. Basic Swamp is okay. So the reason we wanted those is that now we have to fetch for a non-basic, and then they could crop rotation Wasteland us and we're a mana short. But instead, we're just going to wait a turn. Because we are not risking death just yet. Okay, so if we Chain of Vapor here, we're a mana short. So I will... It's safe to Fire Duress now. We're going to get the basic island. And now we have exactly enough mana to cast Ad Nauseam. And we did this all while playing around Wasteland. Okay, the third Chromax should close this out. Alright, we're going to stop at 3. Just in case, for some reason, they cycle into a Punishing Fire. So we're actually going to get to play with Chain of Vapor here, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So we're going to add 3 mana, and then we're going to cast Chain of Vapor targeting our Mox. From there we're going to sacrifice a land to copy. And then we're going to sacrifice another land to copy. Then we're going to sacrifice our final land and copy. And that is match. So thank you for watching. Today we played the Epic Storm version 4.1. The list is great. I wouldn't change a single card about it. I'm pretty sure this is what I will be playing in Seattle. I mean, Seattle is still almost a month away, but I've been pretty confident with this list so far. It's been great. And that's it. So once again, thanks for watching. Leave comments, I guess. See ya.